In hawker centres and coffee shops all across Singapore, diners telling ST it's good to finally be able to eat out again. Singapore's first quick test centres are up and running for staff of small businesses to do self-swabs for COVID-19. Hello, I'm Olivia Quay. You're watching The Big Story live in the Straits Times newsroom. You can subscribe to our channel so you never miss a single episode. Hey, any plans to dine out for dinner later? Well, if you had eaten out earlier today, you would have noticed that there weren't big crowds at hawker centres and coffee shops when dine-in services resumed for groups of two. Now, these are scenes from across Singapore. From Tua Chu Kang to Pasir Ris and Tampines, as you can see, people in the queues, but not so much at the tables. Stall holders in Clemency and UT said that while many patrons continue to opt for takeaways, they expect to see more people eating at the hawker centres over the coming days. So that was what it was like at some hawker centres earlier today. How are the restaurants doing on the first day? Well, let's find out more from one restaurant owner, Ricky Ng, from the well-known Blue Lotus restaurants. Welcome to the show, Ricky. So give us a sense, how was the first day of welcoming back your diners?
The first day has been slow, I think, despite the fact it's Monday. And we have two of our restaurants, one at Sentosa, Blue Lotus. That one, we only open for dinner for weekdays. So tonight, the reservation is still quite promising. However, for Opio and Alexandra, because we are located at the office area, and now it's still compulsory working from home. So our lunch is definitely affected. So now we just based on our regular customer come back and support us.
I see. Well, fingers crossed that, of course, foot traffic will pick up in the coming days. But you've been preparing for this for a few weeks. And of course, last Friday's confirmation that dining in will be allowed from today. So, as I said, you have been preparing for this eventuality. But were there any unforeseen incidents that you saw today?
I guess so far we are quite on track. I mean, despite the fact that we were hoping for 5 person at one table, but however, the announcement was made for 2. So of course we do have cancellation that from a group of 5 they drop down to 2, or they drop into separate groups in different days.
And are you finding that your patrons are still opting more for takeaways?
Once we open, I think people are more keen to come out to dine at the restaurant, and I guess because they've been locked down for the last 1 month, so I guess that gives them every reason to come out and enjoy the experience.
As you guys reopen, Ricky, was there any confusion from the patrons about what's allowed and not allowed? For example, people from the same household can dine together, but they'll still need to be seated in groups of 2. How do you make sure that these rules are followed at your restaurants?
Our SOP from our company is as long as their reservation more than 2, then we'll ensure that they are from the same household. And upon their arrival, we do need to check their IC, the back of the IC, and make sure that it's the same address. The only other inquiries that we have the most is, if I have 2 adults and a baby or a child, how would that affect? So I think after that we are clear with the ambassadors. And then I guess as long as they are sitting in the pram, they are considered as within the same table. But as long as they are sitting at one chair by itself, then it's considered 1 hectare, which is not allowed.
I see.
So I guess in that part we are quite clear. Yeah.
Right. Well, moving on from your patrons to your employees, there will be mandatory COVID-19 testing for staff working in settings with unmasked clients or where there's prolonged contact between people. And of course, that includes staff in the F&B industry. How does Blue Lotus manage that new rule?
We are still following up closely with the authority. And I guess with all the test kits, I think we do need to get a confirmation from the authority how and when we should do it, and with our employee, and only then we will have a more solid answers to that.
Right. Well, Ricky, thank you so much for your time. We wish you all the very best in navigating through this very uncertain time. That was Ricky Ng, owner and managing director for Blue Lotus Concepts International. Well, as the pandemic continues to hit the F&B sector, we spoke to another restaurant owner, Anthony Yeo from Summerhill. He tells us that eateries struggled more during the latest round of restrictions compared with the circuit breaker last year.
While restaurants may now appear better prepared to pivot to takeaway or delivery models, many continue to struggle with poorer takings. Anthony Yeo, owner of Summerhill Restaurant in Clementi, says sales during Phase 2 heightened alert were close to 60% worse than sales during the circuit breaker.
I know this round, compared to the circuit breaker last year, a lot of restaurants are doing a lot worse, including us. Why there was a difference from the last circuit breaker to now in terms of our sales dropping was something that I struggled with a lot this past month, just trying to really figure it out, because we expected that it was going to be the same.
The F&B owners continue to soldier on. Mr. Yeo has even been personally delivering food to his customers in order to understand the change in consumption habits.
They were telling me, they're trying to eat a bit healthier, so they're not ordering as extravagant kind of dishes anymore. I think a lot more people are also aware of disposables and the impact that it has on the environment. Also that everyone's kind of fatigued. So you see this round, a lot less people are doing Zoom parties. There's a lot less gifting and people sending food to each other back and forth across the island. There really was very little of that this year. So I think it's, just the fatigue, COVID fatigue has set in. The things that we, take pride in, having a beautifully plated dish, people being able to get the smells, the whole experience, that's what restaurants really are about, is delivering an experience, and you need to be here. But my question now is, can that model, that idea, survive 12 months a year if, say, you've got 2-3 lockdowns a year? That's a quarter of your year basically gone if you're making a loss. How can you survive? How can you thrive like that? Then it's not really a business. It's more like a hobby, a passion, I'm finding it very hard to grow that way, and I think the industry has to and has already slowly started to shift towards newer ways.
Well, still on F&B, people in the sector will have to take mandatory COVID-19 tests every 2 weeks. The same goes for gyms and hairdressers, where staff have prolonged contact with customers or unmasked patrons. The first of several quick test centres are operational from today to support small businesses unable to organise such tests on their own. Well, 2 former outdoor bus terminals in Tekka and Yishun are the first 2 sites to be opened. This is the one at Yishun, which saw mostly hawkers from the nearby Chongpang Market and Food Centre coming through today after they'd received a message on Friday night. The tests are self-administered and people can't leave before finding out their results.
就是很好咯，政府也给我们寄这种免费的，而且帮我们安排这些，是很好的一个东西咯，这样子咯。头尾都要半个钟头这样啦，差不多从点名到去做，差不多20到30分钟这样啦。
This is the first time I do by myself. I scared first time doing, but not scared for the COVID. I scared for doing it also. This first time.
就是不会很难，很简单而已，每个人都可以自己做测试的，这个很简单而已。你自己 control 所以不会怎样，不是他们帮你弄，是你自己弄。当然是自己因为自己才有自己的感觉嘛，对。
An update on the COVID-19 case numbers: 16 new cases confirmed today, 3 imported and 13 in the community. 5 of the local cases are currently unlinked, while 5 linked cases were already in quarantine and another 3 were detected through surveillance. More details will be released later tonight. Residents from 7 HDB blocks in Red Hill Lane and Red Hill Close will undergo mandatory COVID-19 testing after viral fragments were found in wastewater samples collected from some blocks. The affected blocks are 81, 82 and 83 Red Hill Lane and 87 to 90 Red Hill Close. And testing will take place at 2 temporary sites nearby from today until Wednesday. Visitors and those who have come into contact with these residents may also volunteer for testing. Meanwhile, from today, hospital visitors will be allowed to stay longer than 20 minutes only if they first clear an antigen rapid test regardless of their vaccination status. This longer visitation period may be allowed for visitors of patients who are critically ill, birthing or postpartum mothers, and patients who require additional care support. For more news and videos, visit straitstimes.com and subscribe to our YouTube channel by hitting the red button below. I'm Olivia Quay. See you tomorrow on The Big Story.